Ever wonder what the future of the trades will look like? Today, we're diving into how virtual reality isn't just for gamers anymore, but a crucial tool in developing the next generation of plumbers, HVAC, and electrical technicians.
Running a home service business is hard. So how is it that some people make it look so easy? Well, we'll tell you. This is the Freedom Blueprint Podcast. It's always good to hear the wins that successful contractors have. But have you ever thought that the best advice would be to hear about the speed bumps they encountered, the mistakes they've made along the way? We're going to talk about the good, the bad, and the ugly. We want you to be successful and avoid the mistakes others have made. Let's get this party started. Welcome to the Freedom Blueprint Podcast. Now your host, Justin Deese.
We are hanging out today with Dan Clapper from Interplay, and he's going to tell us a little bit about really what they're doing at Interplay in order to help you drive your business to the next level. So Dan, welcome to the show, man.
Thanks for having me.
Dan, give us a super high level of what Interplay does.
Sure. So really what we are is we're an online training platform. So we have videos and simulations. That's the real game changer of maintenance tasks, service tasks across HVAC, plumbing, electrical, safety, all across the board for the trades.
I've used it in the past. So just for anybody who's never used it, I mean, really, you guys have kind of gamified the trades, right? Like you guys have turned this learning into really a game. And I think that, and I don't know if you guys check this or not, but are you guys seeing what age groups are using your system? And I don't mean from an owner standpoint, I mean from a technician standpoint.
Sure. Yeah. So, I mean, when we talk about simulations, we didn't invent simulations. Like they've been around forever. Like to go fly a helicopter or become a pilot, you have to sit through thousands of hours of simulation time, right? So that's really the style we went to how we build our simulations is how can I build like a 3D environment with equipment in it, whether like a furnace or a water heater or a boiler or whatever it is, that I can go in and I can practice on in a safe environment. I'm not going to electrocute myself. I can learn the fundamentals, get the reps in, and really kind of have fun enjoying it instead of just reading a book or a manual, which, most people don't do, right? So as far as usage, I mean, my son is 12 years old and he knows how to use a virtual reality headset better than I do. Like, I think the younger generation, it's just part of how they learn. But when we go to trade shows and stuff, we see people in their 40s, 50s, 60s jumping into it too. So
yeah, it's pretty neat. And again, the younger generation, I mean, how many of them are spending time hanging out, playing video games on VR anyways? So for you guys to take this and make it into really a training that is, again, I think it's like a game. Like they get to go in and like you said, they don't have to fear of electrocution or flooding a house or blowing something up or whatever the case may be. So before we get a little bit deeper into Interplay, Dan, tell us a little bit how you got into the trades.
Totally. I always, gosh, I don't remember what age, but it was probably somewhere around 6 or 7 years old. My dad had a plumbing and heating contracting business in upstate New York, and he'd hand me one of those wire brushes and hand me a box full of like a 5-gallon bucket full of copper fittings. And, I'm sitting there at 6, 7 years old, cleaning fittings and cutting up my hands. Right. So I grew up with it with my father, did a lot of installs and service work on the weekends. That's how I got into the trades. Then I kind of I tried to go to college. It didn't work out. I dropped out and got a job at a wholesaler. So I was in wholesale for about 10 years. And then I jumped to the manufacturing side for about 10 or 15 years, regionally and then national roles. And really, that's where I really had a lot of focus on training, learning best practices and then teaching contractors best practices. So once I saw what Interplay was doing, I'm like, holy crap, instead of me flying all over the country, I can build a simulation once and it can be deployed across thousands of people at the same time. Soup excited me so much, and that's where I got to today.
Well, it is exciting, and it's always cool in the trades, at least for me, to see this evolution of technology that's happening in our industry. And there's so many things. I mean, you can control your AC from your phone now, and now you can teach your tech, and now you can listen to phone call. I mean, there's so many things over the past really 10, 15, 20 years that have changed. I know for me, it's pretty exciting. You always kind of think like, where's the ceiling on technology? And you think that, and then you turn around and boom, there's something cooler showing up. Okay, so you started out as a helper in a truck,
Yeah,
went to the
exactly.
distribution side of it, and then so now, what is your role with Interplay now?
So, really, probably in the last 2 years, I've become a learning and development professional. I just got my certification in February to be a certified professional in talent development. So when you think about, like, as contractors, we always approach training as like a shotgun approach. Like, up, vendor XYZ is in town. Let me train this, or let me, a wholesaler's having a lunch and learn. Let me send some guys there. And really, when you start thinking about how a lot of other industries do it, there's actually career development plans. There's a path to go from like a apprentice to a tech level 1 to a tech level 2, tech level 3. So really, that's the majority of my day to day. Is I help contracting businesses build that career path for their, from someone coming right off the street with no knowledge all the way up to like a senior tech.
So do you guys, is it automatically, so I start using you guys, and do I determine what's level 1, 2, 3? Do you guys work with me to build a path, or is that already kind of set up in the system?
Yeah, we built some pre-built paths based on, common knowledge that we think most people should know. Of course, very regionally, like, people can modify that and take out courses and put in courses that make sense. A lot of our companies in the north, they want boiler classes or hydronics classes, where, that doesn't exist in Florida. So
Down here in the South, that's not even a thing. We don't even know what it is.
exactly. So, maybe it's more AC focused in Florida than and heating focused up north. So we definitely have the ability to customize paths and just build a journey. And the real reason to do that is we hear a problem all the time of retention, like people leaving and going to other companies. But if I know that I have a path and I can grow along this journey with you, like, me as a tech, I feel valued. I want to stay with your company. I want to grow.
I agree with you. I think a lot of times leadership in our space tends to think of training as money spent versus an ROI versus money earned kind of deal. And I think it's bad. And I think you're right. I think for a retention standpoint, you know, we all know, and we've all read the books that say, they don't leave the company, they leave their leadership or they leave their manager. And yeah, I think if they see the future of where they could be and how they can grow, I mean, who doesn't want to be in that environment?
Yeah, totally. And another thing we see too, the fun part of, like, we build learning paths to kind of give a guideline, but think if we have elective courses too. You might have some of your techs that aren't going to admit to you that they don't know how to handle high voltage, or they, like, there's some certain skill sets that our techs have a lot of egos that they're not going to admit. But maybe if you give them a platform to go learn some stuff, they'll go in on their own and they'll be like, I am going to brush up on this. So it's kind of twofold how we approach that.
Yeah, I think that's good. And I think you're right. I think if they have a place, because here's the deal, you spend all summer working on the AC side of the house, and then when it comes to the summer side, I mean, there could be a 6-month gap
Yeah.
between what your focus is, and that is not easy, because you get in a habit, you get in a routine, and you're like, okay, well, it's not running, and here's my here's my typical diagnosis on the AC side versus the heat side. And I do think that's a good brush up. I mean, how long would that take? You go through and you give them I'm assuming, can you build a test? So with my guys, like, we're going, okay, here's the air conditioners, here's our heat pumps, which is most of what we deal with here. I mean, I could build a refresher course, right?
Yeah, we have pre-built assessments that you can kind of do before and afters, and we are building into our platform more of a customized quiz approach too. That'll probably be around in the next couple months here.
Okay, very, very cool. So I know for me, I always think of the younger generation that's really going to dive into Interplay, that'll appreciate it. That we had a guy who we found out over the weekends, he was really digging in, and we didn't know until we started looking at our, I guess, dashboard is what you call it, and we figured out that he was really digging into it. So when I think of a hurdle, I think of the older generation. I think of the 40 and over. Ooh, that stung a little bit. Yeah. Think about the 40 and over generation that have never done the VR thing. I guess what are some benefits to somebody who's been doing this for 10 years? From a leader, as I go to my team, what are some things that I can give them as not necessarily incentives, but they go, I already know that. So what are some things that get that next generation as excited about your tool as, we'll call them the millennials?
Only about 6% of people use the VR. Most of the people are using a tablet or a desktop. I think there's a couple ways to approach it, right? One way I love to approach training is with the senior techs is twofold. First, I like it'll help you become a better mentor. So if you take the time to go through the foundational training again, or some of these classes that you think really well, maybe you'll pick up some ways that now you can communicate better to the techs when you have them on the field and you're mentoring them, you're showing them the way, and it helps you have that better talk track, right? And I think the second part is we hear it all the time from guys doing 10, 20, 30 years. Through the game of telephone of how they learn to do something, maybe that's not the best practice anymore. Maybe there's a little bit quicker way. Maybe I can start building in some job time efficiency. So I always say, look, maybe if you watch these couple courses and it helps you get this service call done a little bit 20, 30 minutes faster, that's a win for everybody, right? So I approach it from the mentorship side and then the job time efficiency side.
Okay, I got it. Yes, I think that's a good one. So sliding away from the technician side of it, looking at the businesses, what is the typical size business that you guys work with? And I'm sure it's a broad range, but what is kind of the avatar that Interplay looks for when it comes to utilizing the training?
Yeah. So, I mean, there's different tiers throughout our trades, right? We get a lot. I mean, we probably had 100 companies that are in the 2 to 5 to 10 tech range in the last month call us, right? These are inbound people that are like, you know what? I need some sort of system. I'm a small company. I don't have time to hire a full-time trainer. I don't have money to hire a full-time trainer. I don't have a shop. So that group of people we can serve really well because we're kind of like training in a box for them, right? So we can help them start to scale a little bit to where they get to more of that mid-range company that we see a lot of people where they're at now. Maybe they have a shop, maybe they have a full-time trainer or a service manager. We play really well with those groups too because we will complement the training that they're already doing with our training. So how do we build like a cohesive growing strategy for that mid-level too? And certainly a couple of the monsters, the P roll-ups we work with too.
Okay. So good. So that's really what guessing even the paths, right? So I mean, a path to go from a 2-truck operation to a 10 when it comes to the tech side, probably a little bit different natural progression than it is when you're dealing with a much bigger company. So let me ask you this. So from companies that are using this, are you guys seeing the ability for them to level up guys from Tech 1, Tech 2, and girls, move up those different levels at a faster pace than they could from traditional, hey, go ride with Jimmy, he'll show you what to do kind of format.
Yeah, 100%. So, first of all, when we talk about simulations, you can use a VR headset, but you can also use a tablet, a desktop, like even probably 20% of our users use a mobile phone. Simulations are a little bit harder to run on a phone just because it's small screen space. I try to say the bigger screen, the better to do a simulation, but it works. So to answer your question about speed, if we're training on the job, me as a trainer, I can only train of what's happening on that job that day. Whether it's a sewer line break or a toilet or a HVAC unit, like I can probably only train on the couple tasks that we're doing that day. Whereas in simulation, I can work on a water heater. I can go work on a drain line. I can get a bunch of reps in, 20, 30 reps. I can get that practice down again and again and again. So this is why it shortens the time of learning, because now that I've done all those reps before I get to the job site, really the on-the-job training is more a verification of skills, because I've already got that foundational knowledge. I've already understand the procedural steps. So it does shorten the time. We see significant, we hear it from our customers from 2 years down to sometimes 6 months or less.
Well, so you brought up a really good point as far as repetition goes. And so if you're working on, let's just say a water heater, let's say electric water heater is your focus. In the course of 2 hours, how many reps can that technician get compared to in the field? You could give them every scenario for electric water heaters. If you spend a couple days on that and then a couple days actually in front of a unit, it feels like you should probably have a pretty good handle on what goes on with a water heater if you're that laser focused and using your tool.
Yeah, 100%. And so the way we build simulations, we do it kind of a style called micro learning. It's a big term out in the learning space. So everything we do is like a 3 to 7 minute chunk. So let's just say it's the upper thermostat on a water heater. Like I could run through that 3 to 7 minute training on an upper thermostat, 20 times if I have to get the knowledge I need, that I feel comfortable with it, or 2 times. Like people learn at different paces. So I can get that, and then I can move on to the next one and move on to the next one. And the scaffolding of learning that can happen there is just so much faster than what you could do on a job site.
Yeah. And in the way our industry is looking right now, we're challenged with getting the next generation into our space. So I would think giving them the ability to come in and learn and understand what they're doing, that's going to help us with recruiting with the next generation. And then what are if you know how to do your job, obviously confidence is a big boost. So can you talk to us a little bit about how that might affect a technician?
Oh, totally. So what we see is typically, I think you mentioned this a little bit, like there might be some apprehension of technicians. Oh, I know all this stuff. I don't need, once they get past that hurdle of, okay, maybe I don't know anything, I'll just try this out. And what we see is when people start using our platform to learn, it almost becomes, I don't want to say this, but it's almost like a little bit of a drug, like a dopamine hit. Like, oh, that was really cool. I learned something. Now I can go out and do that. I'm going to go home and learn something else. And I'm going to go home and learn something else. And we see, 9, 10, 11 o'clock at night is where we actually see a lot of usage, right? They go home after work, they do all the family stuff, cook dinner, kids get in bed. Like 10, 11 o'clock at night, they're learning because they actually want to show up at the job site the next day and be better at it. So it's like this, once the contract, or once these technicians get it, like their confidence soars and they just want to keep learning more and more.
And I think from the standpoint of the technician, and especially the ones that are going home at 10, 11 o'clock at night and studying. Now what you've done as a company is you've taken a technician that has a job to a technician that has a career.
100%.
And there's no stopping to learning in our industry, right? Like that's one thing. There are some things, okay, you look at the toilet over 100 years, it hasn't changed a whole lot. But I mean, AC units have changed a lot. Plumbing has changed a lot. There's a lot of big water heater shifts that are about to happen in the next, coming years that are going to change how water heaters are done. So I guess the point is now you're really and truly giving your team members the opportunity to make this a career and less about, oh, I got a job as a plumber. They're like, I have a career as a plumber and as a technician. And now they're really looking to the future, and then they know what they're doing. So their confidence is higher. Their ability to serve their customers are better. Now they're serving your company better because they're doing a better job. Like there's just so many wins. But again, to me, I think the biggest one is that shift, that mindset shift of the technician from job to career.
Yeah, 100% too. And something you said there is so powerful too, of helping the customer. A lot of times we as technicians learn the technical process or the procedural process, but we really don't know the why. Like, what does that upper thermostat do? Like, how can I explain that to a customer? And as you start learning some of the foundational knowledge around that, now when I'm talking to Susie homeowner, I can add value to them, and I can tell the story of why this is important and why we're doing what we're doing. And this is how we get the 5-star reviews. Like you look at a lot of the reviews, it's like, Johnny Contractor knew what he was talking about. He understood my needs. He had a conversation with me. So like that, having that propensity to learn is just so powerful.
Yeah, because now your tech's going in and they're like, Miss Jones, your upper thermostat, and they can explain it, is having ABC issues, which I can put in a new thermostat. Here's what that's going to look like. Or your system's 15 years old. Why don't, or whatever the case looks like. So yeah, I think that's a win all the way around. Just because now the tech feels more comfortable with educating the customer, where maybe before it's like, I don't know, upper thermostat, here's how much it is. I don't know, it does something.
Yeah,
I know
exactly.
when I ohm it out where it should be, but I don't know anything else outside of that, right? So.
Yeah. Are they, sometimes this is why technicians get a bad rap at talking to customers, because they'll talk in technical terms like, yeah, I did this ohms and this, all these other. Meanwhile, the customer doesn't know what half those words mean.
Nor do they care. Like, what customer cares? They're like, I don't have hot water and I need hot water. Can you fix that?
Yeah.
How much? How fast?
Exactly.
Awesome. So as we wrap up here, anything that you can think of that you want to make sure the listeners know about Interplay and about the tool that you guys have created that is awesome, by the way?
Yeah, I would say like when companies look at training as an expense, it's probably because they send people out for a full day class, they lose the billable hours, there's ways to do training that are actually much more effective. And my favorite way to do it is, 5 to 25 minutes first thing in the morning. Like, I know you're going to go out and do a water heater today, watch a quick video. And if I can just keep doing these micro learning sessions throughout the entire year, instead of treating training as like these one-off sporadic things, that I actually have a plan of, okay, this week you're going to watch 3 videos on Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, or go through these 3 simulations. And I start building that up over time. It actually doesn't take that long to learn. We're talking 30 minutes to an hour a week. We're not, it doesn't have to be these full long days of training that are expensive and you lose the billable hours. I think you should build training right into your operational workflow.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think that typically they go, okay, well, I have an hour that I have my entire team. Oh my gosh, the cost that is. Or I have a day where I'm sending someone out. Yeah, you're right. You can just individually, hey, Jimmy needs help with these 7 things. Here's his path for the next couple of weeks. roll
Yep.
with it. Okay, that's awesome.
Yeah,
That's
super
great.
powerful. Thank you.
So Dan, if somebody wants to find out a little bit more, maybe check out a demo on how this tool can really help them get to the next level in their business, how would they do that?
Yeah, you can find me on LinkedIn, Dan Clapper. I write a bunch of articles about training and everything else. That's a great spot to connect with me. And then Interplay Learning, just go to interplaylearning.com. There's a ton of information on our website. You can submit a demo request right there. And we do free demos. We give trial access so you can kick the tires before you even give us money and see if it makes business sense for you.
Awesome. Well, Dan, I appreciate you hanging out with us and sharing some of this knowledge. And yeah, for anybody listening, reach out, man. Check it out. It's not going to cost you anything but a little bit of time to dig in and see if this is right fit for your business. So that was a really cool conversation. And I got to tell you, I really love learning more about technology. And there's so much of that coming into our industry right now, whether it be, the VR that we just talked about from Interplay with Dan, or some of the AI things that happen to be showing up everywhere in our business. But it's really cool to remember that embracing technology, man, it's going to not only boost your business, but it's going to be the wave of the future. That's where our industry is going. And to keep up with the fast-paced environments, I hate to tell you, but I'm not sure that there's even going to be a choice but to start embracing some of these things. So listen, if you found value in today's episode, make sure to subscribe to Freedom Blueprint Podcast. And as always, leave a review. It's very helpful to me, just like it is in your business. And share this episode and others with fellow leaders who could benefit from mastering virtual reality training in the trades. Until next time, keep setting those virtual benchmarks and watch your business and leadership transform. This is Justin Deese signing off from Freedom Blueprint Podcast. Stay motivated, stay innovative, and as always, keep crushing it.
You've been listening to the Freedom Blueprint Podcast. Information is useless if not applied. So take what you've learned and go and implement it. We hope you've enjoyed the show. If you did, make sure to like, rate, and review. We'll be back soon. But in the meantime, find us on social media at Freedom Blueprint for Home Services and hit the website at www.freedomblueprintpodcast.com. See you next time.